right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Future SA Most Wanted.
Mr. Womo, Sebensile Ngobo, Awema, Yakudo Mamaj, You know, I wanted to know, how do brands collaborate with artists? Because a lot of people, and also I want to talk about the upcoming artists also. What do you guys, how do you guys find them, and how do you guys collaborate with them?
So, Carpo, I think the most, I don't want to say frustrating part of my job, but it's quite an arduous task where at any given day I get 20 proposals that come into my email, into my inbox. You know, people proposing why brands should partner with them, people proposing why I need to hop onto their event or activation. And, I get inundated, and I think with what's happening right now in the space, I think as people who are approaching brands, you need to be able to say, what can I do to make sure that whatever I'm proposing stands out in Cesar's email, or whenever I see her out in the streets, how do I make sure I stand out? Now, for me, when I'm assessing, whom I want to partner with, whether it's a person, an ambassador, whether it's an organization, whether it's an event, I always look at what is the VSP? What's the value proposition of what this person is trying to sell me? Can they articulate their value proposition, right? And then on top of that, is that value proposition aligned to what I am trying to strategically achieve as a brand? And this is where I think the tricky part comes in, where most of the time I can see when somebody has done their research on the brand, they understand why they want brands to endorse them. They understand what their vision and their goal is, and they're able to articulate why Play should be working with them. And instinctively, when you can't define your value proposition, when you can't define your why, then I know that this is not something that brand can be a part of, and this is something that brand will not be able to derive return on investment on. At the end of the day, as brands, we're businesses. I look after a profit and loss statement. I need to make sure that everything that I do within the brand, we are making profit. And on top of that, whatever that we're doing as a brand, especially in the marketing space, brand is deriving some sort of equity. Now, articulating your why is very important. I think you touched on it very, 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 very well. You need to be able to articulate why you're doing what you're doing, what your vision is, and why you want brand to be involved. And if you cannot articulate that, then you should not be in this space. There's so much happening. It's so cluttered. There is so much competition. And it's within the why that I am able to decipher who is the person that I want brand to partner with. And I think over and above defining return on investment, I think you need to be able to present what role brand is going to be playing in your why. That needs to be clear for me. And more than anything, we are always watching as marketers. How you move, what you're doing, how you're behaving, how you're acting. Big Brother is always watching, okay? So your brand is super important. How you carry yourself out in the streets when you think nobody is watching is super important, because I will get a proposal on my desk. If it does pop up and it is something that seems exciting to me, I'll read the proposal, but then I'll go to social media and I'll go do my research on you. In the same way that you need to do research on me as brand, I also go and do my research on you. So how you carry yourself, how you present yourself, how you move is super, super important, because it defines your brand. And remember, as corporate brands, we want to ensure that the people that we partner up with are aligned to our values as a business. And so if you're moving in a way that is sketchy and that is not aligned to the values of the business, we will not pick you. So everything that you do from start to finish is super, super, super important. How you move, how you behave, how you present yourself is what makes you stand out to brands.
Oh. That was beautiful. So you guys heard that? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man. I want to move on to T. may the Ratu Moilo. I said Moloi, please forgive me, guys. I just Moloi. I'm so sorry about that, guys. You know, sometimes growing in America, when you have to read like the Tswana language, it's very difficult for me. Please forgive me, all right? So, please, man. Titi, you know, a lot of people, right, especially like these kids, and here on the streets also, people will say like the importance of, not the importance, sorry about that, networking, the importance of networking and relationships, right? So, example, someone will tell me, oh, you need to go out, start networking with people and relationships. But sometimes when I go there, that person's like, shut, hey, my brother, I just want to, that's all. And then they walk away. How do we get those people's attention? You know, because I know that a lot of people come to you and say, see, you know, like networking, and so I wanted to know about networking and relationships. Like, how do we, you know?
Thanks, Carpo. Sorry, I don't want to change the direction of your that you're trying to take us in, but I'm aware that Sister Tutu has to be out. So yes. So and so maybe if we can have her, you know, just say a couple of things, and maybe if there's more people that wanna. But how that is important with regards to your question is that the very reason why I had this panel here, there's not a person that I called that couldn't make it, and I had to go to the second person, and that ties perfectly into the question about networking. I met Tutu when she was a stage manager. I think it was in Kronstadt or something years ago. You know, I was just, you know, and then I gave her one phone call. She's like, yo, I'm in, you know. I gave, you know, power play. We spoke about the idea, SIBs. You speak about it, and I still have to justify it regardless of what, or the extent of the relationship with brand, right? But again, it's because of the networking that you're speaking. Dale, I've known Dale for years. We've had multiple conversations. Outside of this one, Dale was the management team at Stalo was the one that facilitated the Pretty Ugly and Casper Celebrity True Fight. So this is the guy that I just gave a call, and I explained the situation with NAC and stuff. And I can be honest about it. I'm here to teach. And it's like, yo, we're in. Bro, I understand. I'll speak to my guy and see if he wants to do it, and we're in, right? So it's from that value that you're talking about, the networking, the importance of it leads to things like these. Jabu and Nogani, these guys are part of the team, but it all ties into the question about networking. I know I didn't answer the question, but if we can just maybe maybe a few questions for Tutu.
Yes, Tutu. Well, you have to leave, but it's okay, I understand, you're a busy lady. You know, Titi, you're an artist manager, man, and I always wanted to ask you this thing because I know there's guys, and, you know, we know how guys are, like easy, we know ourselves as guys. But I don't know, how is it managing female artists?
It is quite challenging, right? And I think I speak so to say that like it's actually challenging to be a female in the industry as a whole. So not just being a female artist. We have to do 10 times the work because it was never our territory, you know? And I say that because it is a male-dominated space. I will say because I think maybe perhaps, you know, from where we come from, you know, the women used to be the ones that are staying at home. We didn't hustle. We used to take care of the household, take care of our husbands and our kids. And then now we're out here trying to be out there, the Mogodos, and we working as well and putting in, you know, the work. So already with that, you need to solidify your position so much more, you know. So I think firstly, I'd like to say that it's looking great because we've got like, you know, prominent like female figures that are in the industry, management as well as like, you know, DJs. And I'm glad to see that even in, you know, spaces like this, you can still spot, you know, a few females that are interested. But it's harder working with females because there's so much more that already just needs to go into the brand, right? And I'm saying this, I sit here, I'm very simple. This is as good as it gets, you know. But as a female, you're also expected to kind of have, you know, a look for the brand, you know, an appearance for the brand. If I walked in, I need to look like, I'm going to entertain you. How they say that people first see you based on how you look. Your appearance is what's going to sell whatever else that you're going to say thereafter. And I think that's what it is. So with ladies, it is a little bit more complex. There is a little bit more work to do. A lady's call time will be 6 a.m. because you need 2 hours to do makeup and to glam up so that, y'all don't bully them in the streets and say that, oh, Bangman without makeup looks like this. I mean, you know what I mean? So it is quite challenging. I'd like to think for females, I think all around. From my experience, I'm a tomboy, so I'm always going to gravitate towards the guys. But I am also very passionate about, pushing, the female narrative, especially because of what I mentioned, in the beginning. But yes, we don't have enough female producers. Guys, please try, work from scratch. Like if you're a lady, try and get out there and do production. We don't have that, And yes, it's tedious. You must sit the whole night. You must press nights. Chigi, you're an adult now, before pregnant. Chigi. There's so many obstacles that are in the way that kind of could set you up for failure if you're not focused on, the goal. I literally just had a child. I just got married. But that cannot stop, what I'm trying to get to. There's no excuses. If you're a female and you're getting into the music entertainment industry, go the whole way or don't bother at all. You know what I mean? There's no shortcuts here. The same way as if you had worked anywhere else, you need to take this as seriously. So it is a bit harder to manage females in terms of just that because you need to put in a little bit more work. My method of management is teaching the artist, not leading them. And what I mean by that is I don't want to know everything and just say, oh, today you're waking up, you're doing this. I want to go through the process with you so you know what it takes, so that you also understand that it really does take a village, to make the goal that we're trying to reach happen. Guys are more easy. Guys, when it comes to fashion, you can rock up in a t-shirt and all of that. The girls need to glam up. They do need to put in I would even say 50% more work. So I'm also saying this to say that if you are sitting here and you are a female, your looks are not going to get you anyway. Sometimes, actually not sometimes, most of the time, or all the time, it is the hard work that works, more than talent. So the hard work will still also work harder than, the way that you look. As females, we're perceived by how we look. And already that's where, it gives the attention. There's this narrative, oh, if you're female, you need to look 66 cells. Guys, look at Devon Bogo. Okay, she's selling talent and hard work, and that's working. So I'm not saying that you always need to be jammed up and be dolled up. Find your comfort zone, but make it work and put in an effort. It will be more than the next guy as you might feel, and that's okay. Just make your point. When you wake up every day, know what you're doing this for. Don't let anything stop you. But yeah, it is harder working with female artists, but the challenge is great. It is also nice to see, you've got females like DJ Center, who's a perfect example, who has gone through, marriage, has gone through having a child, and she's still standing. That's what we're looking for, the longevity. I just feel that it's unfortunate that we've seen a lot of females, the lifespan is much shorter than males, and I think that's why I speak of such things as production, I think there might be a false impression that, the looks will get you there. No, they won't. It's the hard work. So whether male or female, get there, wake up and, go get the cheese. But as a female, never wake up and think that, sex sells or how I look will speak to them more than the work. It's actually the work that's going to speak more than anything. And even when we fall, you must stand up. And when the call time is 6 a.m., you must get there at 5:30 or 5 a.m., be on top of the game, and it becomes easier. It's just harder, but yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Tutu. Do you still have time or? Oh, right. It's 2 minutes. One thing, I heard you saying that we didn't need a lot of female producers, and I think that's something that we need. And I just noticed it now, Actually, I don't know. Do you know a female producer?
Locally, no.
Locally, yeah, that's how I don't know. So, ladies, please, who are into music, let's start. We need to start this thing. Speaking about females, man, I wanted to know one thing because, romance chance when you see a female on TV, one on, I want that girl, I want that. So, how do you protect your female artists from the jungle?
So with Cheesecake Productions, I actually happen to have a team of 4 females. It's not on purpose, so I'll say. But my first rule, and I'm going to say this out very bluntly because it's a working formula. Close your legs, ladies, and open your mind and brain. Stop it. And I think that's why I'm saying yes, sex, no, it doesn't sell. Just close. My rule in my company is I will fire you if I understand that you have worked here and you have slept with an artist. An artist is a potential client. So if you are a female DJ, excuse me, by an artist, I mean, obviously in this case, a male. And if you're a female DJ, don't sleep with him for beats. Work. Don't sleep. Yeah. Try getting into the productions and all of that. That's why our lifespan is cut so short in the industry. So I think my first rule is that, there's going to be jungle, there's going to be men, but kuzophela wena. So you cannot be enticed by the fact you go, oh, Carpo likes me, maybe I can know. Carpo likes me. How can I work with Carpo to further enhance my talent without your legs being open, I preach that so much, guys, because unfortunately, the minute you cross that line, you lose the respect. Guys are guys, like Carpo said. You will be discussed in the groups, guys. They will talk about who's been there and all of that. You are dimming down your light. So that's just my first thing, and always I'm so passionate about it because unfortunately it's been seen so many times that female, we kind of lose it because why? We gave in. I'm not our penny, honestly, and they're trash. I'm joking. I'm joking, guys. That's just my thing, man. I think, yes, the girls will come out there. Yes, they're looking pretty. I just think that the focus should be on the goal, and the goal should never be attached to a look.
Wow. I love that, guys. That's wow. Like you say, close and open your mind. Right? Am I right? Ladies, can I get a hell yeah? I heard someone say hell yeah. I really heard someone say hell yeah. So, thank you so much for that, Tutu, man. I know you don't have time. You said 2 minutes, and thank you for the 2 minutes you gave us. We loved it, and we have it here on our hearts. See, Liza, are we going back to our... Oh, sorry. And congratulations. I didn't believe it. So I can come sit here. So, TD, back to my question. Do you want... Okay.
Oh, yeah, the networking.
Yes.
So I think I'm so practical about a lot of things that I do. I gave you an example of how networking works at, I don't want to say at a higher level, but where we are right now, right? But think of it this way. You guys got here earlier today, and you were with each other, having coffee and stuff. Did you speak to anyone outside of who you came with to find out what they're here for, what they do? When this program went out, right, you saw there's Nino there, I see him with the hat. There's a couple of people that were announced as part of the Future Most Wanted program, right? Did you DM each other to figure out, I see you doing this genre of music, I've got this, potentially we're in the same program. And then we later announced the fashion program with Morgana and Jabu. film and photography. You should DM those guys to figure out, yo, I see your profile, you are a videographer, I see you shot a music video, right? So we like complicating these things and making them as if they're so far from us when we actually live within them, right? The whole networking thing is just about the people that you have access to. Just utilize that. It doesn't matter. You could meet Carpo, you could meet Dale, you could meet Jabu, Nogana, whoever. But if you're not going to be practical about and deliberate about what you need and want from them, to what spoke about earlier, or rather indicating your value proposition to them, it's not only to brands or big brands, rather, it's to everybody that you meet. Exercise or rather articulate your value proposition to the person. And that for me, networking is not some complicated thing. There's people that are introverts, there's people that are, very shy and they can't speak. But you all in the DMs asking girls for their numbers, the same shy person. But you can't DM an artist for a potential collab. But I'm not talking about going for the blackies, the ABs. I'm talking about the guys on your level. Right? DM those guys so you guys form what Cash Time formed, what Family Tree and Ricky and Major League formed, what Boys and Bugs formed, what Durban's Finest formed, right? So there's all these pockets of examples of what the guys did when they were starting all together. And then that transpires into something bigger and bigger and bigger. So the whole networking thing, you are within it right now. It is not about networking with Sibs. It's not about networking with Dale only. The people that you're with are the people that you're supposed to start and practice that with. That's as simple as it is to me. And that's how I apply it. Everywhere I go, I apply that same logic. I'm not trying to meet, and I say this deliberately, I'm not trying to meet Jay-Z's manager when I have not had a conversation with my Polis's manager. And I say Jay-Z's manager deliberately because he's friends with the family. So it's not some pipe dream. This guy is, But I'm not trying to ask him, Dale, how do you put me in touch with Rock Nation? When I am not speaking to him about what we could do together. That's ridiculous. Then I'm not networking. I just want to use it. There's a big difference. So, yeah.
Wow. Can I also add? I like writing things in Sweden. So I think the one thing for me with networking, and it's probably my biggest skill set in my entire career, has been my ability to connect the dots with different people across different spaces. And so I think the one thing is that networking is very simple, but it still requires strategy. So people that make this assumption that networking is talking to people, right? What's your strategy behind networking? So if I arrive here and I say, so let me explain. So we do events now. The first thing I looked at is I said, oh, okay, play. We need to connect and discuss something. Guys, TD called me this week, said, do you want to do this thing? Please. I said, yeah, of course I'll do it. It's Saturday morning. My daughter's birthday was yesterday. Now, I respect TD so much. We've done a couple of little things together, but we've known each other for years. But I'm going to show up for him, even if it's a Saturday, even if it was my daughter's birthday. I'm going to figure it out because networking also isn't just comfortable and having drinks when the sun's shining, right? It's a Saturday morning. You wake up, you've got a day off between putting multiple events together, and you want to arrive. Now, I'm saying right now, I could end up doing something with Play that I haven't done before because I showed up for tea. Yeah? So it actually had nothing to do with eventing, it had nothing to do with sponsorship, but you're putting yourself in a place that you're going to be viewed in a light that maybe you haven't been viewed previously, right? So I think that's the first thing is it's one, showing up even when you don't feel like it, right? But two, it's strategy. You made a great point. You want to DM somebody. Well, guys, if there's a girl that you are interested in, you are going to go to the ends of the earth to make sure someone can put in a good word for you. Yeah? Now, if I want to work with somebody, right? So I want to book an artist, for example. I look at an artist, I say, okay, sure. I wanted to book Party Next Door this year. Didn't work. I immediately go, I start figuring out who do we both know. Okay, I strategically set up a meeting with somebody that I know knows Party Next Door's manager. Because I know them quite well. Okay, so now I'm front of mind
in their mind. Okay, now I'm there. I've had a conversation recently. Maybe I haven't spoken to that person for a long time. Maybe it's just a hello. But I'm preparing the soil for when I actually am going to do the next step that I need. So even though it's so simple, it's talking and it's connecting, but it requires strategy the same way funding requires strategy, the same way putting an album together, getting your features together, getting your production together. Networking still requires strategy on the same level. It's not just a loose thing that's in the air. And I think that's something I think is important.
I think there's three things that I wanted to add on this topic of networking. I always say, even to my team, even to my siblings, that sometimes you're only as good as your network, right? And you need to understand why you're building a network. Network shouldn't be there just for the sake of, I want to know Casper. What does that mean? What's it going to do for you? So you need to have a purpose behind your network. You must be strategic on who you select to be in your network. The second thing I wanted to add is patience. Sometimes your network is not about your short-term goal, right? Have patience. That network that you're trying to build might not work for you now, but trust me, from a long-term perspective, it will come into play, right? And in that long-term view, it is that network that's going to open doors for you, right? And the strategy comes in if you understand your why. If you don't get your why, you don't understand your why, you don't understand your purpose, you will not be able to build the strategy that Dale is talking about. So sometimes it's about taking a step back, reassessing, understanding your why, and then building from that, and understanding that your network does not need to work for you right now, but it's something good to have in your back pocket for your long-term vision.
Ooh, wow. Chandler?
So, to that, right? I studied at Vega, and when I graduated, so on the first day, actually, I met a friend of mine named Vino, and how many years down the line? 10, 13 years down the line, we decided to partner up and open our agency. So, like you said, patience.
Wow. Papa, you want to add anything? All right, you're okay. All right. Dale, I think, network is very important, guys. I was going to tell you my story, but I'll tell you later on. I'll tell you my story. It's kind of dope. It's kind of dope how I told some pages I have all these albums, and that time there's no one album out. It was the most embarrassing networking of my life. But it's fine. All right, Mr. Dale, man, staying entertaining, right? A lot of kids, like especially in the hoods, suburbs everywhere, they're always talking about events. And they think like events are the easiest thing to make money, right? And I'm one of those kids. I once did that, and yeah. But they really think that it's the easiest way to make money. So then you go to the hood, people make it events, and I want to make 100,000 there. How difficult it is to make an event as big as Rocket Days.
So I think the first thing is that eventing is terrifying. Like, I just want to be clear, eventing is terrifying because you can invest in a lot of different things, and it has legs past the moment of execution. Whereas with an event, if TV's putting Most Wanted together and his revenue is expecting to make 500,000 Rand from the event, and he's expecting it to cost him 400,000 Rand. Come Monday, if he didn't make that 500,000, if he made 250, the money's gone. Right? So I think that's the first thing to understand is it's an exceptionally high-risk business, and very often you have nothing to fall back on. If you invest in something else, a business, a furniture, you're going to buy 20 chairs and you're going to rent them, you still have the chairs. So even if the business wasn't working, you take the chairs, you sell them for half the price, you make half your money back, you had an asset of sorts. In eventing, you don't until you build that asset, right? So the first thing is, eventing is super, super high risk, right? And there's lots of different ways of trying to de-risk it. One of them is sponsorship. One of them is relationships, whether you've got people performing or MC, you can reduce your costs. But the number one thing I think with eventing is that bigger isn't necessarily better. So something that happens with people is There's a group in Cape Town that reached out to me. It's called Hidden Paradise or something. And they do small, beautiful events. And they reached out to me and they're like, listen, we really want to scale this thing. We want to scale this thing. We want to scale this thing. And I said, why? I said, if you found your pocket, right, stay there. Not every event has to be 10,000 people. If you start and you do events for 30, 40, 50 people, and that's your pocket, do multiple events for 30, 40, 50, 80 people. Because the transition of skills from 80 people to 250 people might not even be the same. You might be capable of executing high level for 100 people, but can you do 300? And vice versa. You might be someone who does events. We've got a rooftop at Hallmark House, and we do events for, let's say, 250, 300 people there. My eventing team, going from doing 10, 12, 15,000 people, will drown doing 300 because it's two different things, right? And so you just think, I've done 10,000, it's going to be easy. No, different problems, different crowd, different expectation. So one, start small because you risk less. But if you start small, you might stay small. And that's okay. Just do it more regularly and continue to define yourself as the master in that pocket rather than trying to extend. Because what I've seen in the entertainment business is guys will sink their businesses. There was an event, I'm trying to remember now. I think it was called Boomtown. Those guys were successful for 10, 12, 15 years. Exceptionally well done events, high level, made money. Hey, they booked Nicki Minaj. Guys, those guys lost so much money. In one show, they liquidated the business. They still owe TG, you hear that? But guys, I get it, no? 15 years, 12 years, I'm guessing. I don't know what you, but they were successful for years and years and years. They booked one artist, they liquidated their business because they don't live there. So appreciate where you live, understand how high risk it is, learn slowly, yeah? And then manage your risk as you go. So I think that's for me the main thing in eventing is that it is very difficult. There is a lot of excitement and there's a lot of upside. But I work a metric where I expect to lose money every 4 events. So I expect to be successful 3 events, and I expect to lose money on my 4th event. And then I build my forecast with that loss expected. Because now we do an event, we make 300,000. We do another event, we make 200,000, we make another, we make 200,000. Then the 4th event loses 400,000. But I've spent the money I made from the last 3 events. I've got a nice car, I'm sharp. Actually, now you don't have money to do your successful ones. So like I said, that's little ways of doing it where when you've done an event successfully and you've made a bit of money, keep some of it. And it's just I don't know if it's exact science, but it's a metric that I use. Every 4th event, I expect to lose money. And then I build accordingly. Yeah.
Wow. You heard that? So does it mean when you have 5,000 rand, now you want to go make an event for 20,000 people, then? All right, cool.
Shut up.
If I may just add a little something with regards to events, because we've done, what Dale said is so incredible, because by virtue of, the fill-ups and whatever, you could assume that doing an event for 500 people is easy. I mean, obviously, you sold 60,000 tickets, 68,000. How can you not sell 500 tickets? It's a completely different beast, and you need to understand the purpose. If you're only doing it for the money, then therein lies the first problem, right? But also, equally so, when you look at the event properties, and even if, of course, we understand it's a business, right? And you do want to make money. But even if it's to make money, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will make the most money with 10,000 people. Because I tell you right now that, and I'll mention it because they're my friends, but I tell you right now that the return revenue for the IMP experience parties, my friend DJ Sambu, so rest in peace, the revenue for that was more than fill-up. And this was for 800 people. He did an event for 800 people where his turnover was more than for fill-up. And our lowest turnout for fill-up was 19,000. That was our lowest turnout. And he made more money with 800 people than we did with 19,000 people. So there's a lot of misconceptions about this thing. One of my strongest ones, and Zivo is there, as one of our junior brand guys from the team, he can tell you, I lose my mind when people try to run the event from the top of their heads. But write things down. I don't care how much of a genius you think you are. Write things down so you keep a record of what to do and what not to do. It's extremely important. Because we do events, and every next event seems like it's the first time we do it. You could have made money the previous one, but you still have the same problems. You're the that's arriving the fans. My guy, it's your 12th or 15th or 20th event, you're still making the same mistakes because you're running from here. Just because the people came over and you sold out doesn't mean your event was successful. And the totality of it. You made money at the bank, but there's a whole lot of other things that will make Seth say, and the play team, we're never going back to that event again. You've lost that. Now you run to the next one, say, hey, we have 10,000 people. Oh, what happened to the guy that you partnered up with? I know those ones, no, then these people speak. So your rep also, now your rep because of your event and anything that you did or did not do, determines whether you retain your partners. Now, back to the networking issue, back to what brands look out for, back to the issues that Dale spoke about. Everything ties in together. But when it comes to the question of events, it's extremely difficult. It is not an easy thing. It is a business. Even if you're doing it for PR as an artist or an artist manager, it is still a business. Every cent has to be accounted. Again, you are here selling talent. One guy can come and do a freebie for you, then you'll do a freebie for them. Now you got 10 guys that will do freebies for you. Now your lineup is taken care of. All you did is you presented yourself. You have a show in Soweto. You stop by Tembisa on the way from Victoria to do the show, go to Soweto. You've got that covered. Now you know that, okay, for my lineup, I've got 10 guys already. I don't have to worry about that. I presented myself on a certain return on what we give each other. Now you don't have the lineup to worry about. The sound guy, you negotiate the terms. You guys now form a team. The sound guy now has 5 shows that he's going to do with y'all. Instead of charging you each 100K, he said, no, you've got these 5. They're on the calendar. We're going to give you 70 each saving 30K from that. So there's many ways of skinning this cat. But it all boils down to important things that Dale said is that you don't all have to be big. You can make a lot more money within what it is that you do if you just make sure that you pay attention to it. Thanks.
Just to add to this particular topic, I think because of where the brand has been positioned in terms of us trying to provide value back into the creative space, we've encountered a lot of young creatives. Over and above creatives, we've had a lot of young organizations or platforms saying, oh, say, please can Power Play partner up with us, please can you, and with the experience that I've had working with young people, I've realized that there's a big gap in terms of there's this misconception about the creative space where, it's all about pictures and the art and the fabulous creative output that people get to see. But where the gap lies for me, which I think is so important for the long-term sustainability of all these creative disciplines, is the education on the commercial aspect of being a creative, of running an event, of creating a platform. It's the commercial aspect and understanding the business, all the different facets that make up the business that actually contribute to the commercial aspects of what you're doing. And I am hoping, I think it's the responsibility of brands such as myself who are investing in the space, who have something to gain from the space, to actually invest in the education of what it means to run a business. And the less sexy part of being a creative, which is the numbers. And I think it's so important because this is where we see the downfall of so many people, of so many platforms, simply because they were more concerned about the body than the background work that needs to be done, and then the reporting that needs to be done after that. TV is very right, is very correct in the sense that I could hop into an event. The moment I have one bad experience, I'm never coming back. And it's like a non-negotiable for me. Because in as much as how I'm coming in to support you. I'm respecting you and your space and what you have to offer. I expect the organization, the platform, or the person that I'm sponsoring to have the same type of respect for me and my brand by ensuring that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. So, T, I'm hoping that, as we are building this future most wanted platform, that we have some more strategic workshops that kind of educate on the unsexy parts of the industry, where we can get in and we can speak about our experiences, speak about the stories and the things that we experience within the space, educate you guys, show you what a balance sheet looks like, teach you how to calculate return on investment. What does return on investment mean? Because that's what I look for as a brand when I'm endorsing someone. So looking at the accounting, commercial, business side of things, which is the unsexy part of things, I think is super important. But I think more than anything, if these creative spaces are going to have any sort of long-term sustainability, that education has to happen.
All right. Thank you so much for that, DLTD and Mr. Noble. You thought I forgot your surname? I know your surname, I know your name, but I think you don't want to say Mrs. Noble, you said more, in Dora.
Middle to Mapalob.
Mapalob. Yeah. You know how Extreme people do it, right? Yeah, sounds good. Anyways, all right. Nakwana is being quiet. Nakwana. Can I just ask, Nakwana is in the fashion business, basically. He's in the fashion business. He's a stylist. He styles people like Mr. In Your Fairs, somebody so. That's that's my best friend, by the way. Yeah. Big artist. We fought last night. Hey, yeah, tough one. And I'll tell you about the story too. All right, cool. Mr. Knox, I want to know something, man. What are your thoughts on the fashion trends right now?
The fashion trends right now. I mean, I like where fashion is going, but everything is regurgitating itself. People are finding inspiration from the 80s, 90s, the 2000s. So the beautiful thing about that right now is that they merge in everything and putting it into the now. Some fashion trends are a bit questionable, but I love where it's going, and I love the way people are experimenting with fashion. And also, for artists, I like that artists are actually taking themselves serious in terms of their appearance and whatnot, because that's very important. Like what Sif said earlier, she's like, when a proposal, whatever email she gets comes to her, she goes straight to your Instagram, and how you carry yourself is very important. How you look is very important. And for me, my appearance has put me in rooms where maybe I felt like I didn't belong, and like just how I carry myself, plays a huge part in it. So as an artist, you should take that very serious, and not everything's always about expensive clothes. You can work with what you have, do research and try like portray that in the best way possible, just so you can be more appealing, And yeah, in general, fashion is very important for the artist, for the Instagram pages, and just for inviting brands in general, And I've had a couple of clients where as soon as maybe they hired me as a stylist, as soon as they took their image serious, they got more brand deals, more KK, more...
Yeah, no.
Like appearance really, really does a lot, man. And for example, for instance, for Casper, he called me once. He's like, "Yo, I want you to style me. I've had a stylist here and there, but like I want 24/7, And I was like, "So what do you want to achieve from it, And he's like, "Look, man, I just want my page to be clean. I want to invite more work. I want to just like add on everything that I already have and just like close it in, And as soon as I went into his brand and I worked with him, and I was like, okay, let's have a goal. Let's achieve like GQ or whatever. And a year later, we got GQ's best dressed artist or something like that, And so, and then throughout, like besides the GQ, throughout we've had, because he took his image serious, we've had covers, For GQ, we had, I fashion week involvement is just because of that, and just invited a whole other thing which adds more to his CV as an artist, you know. So yeah, appearance is very important, and
All right.
So on that, I think understanding why you want to look a specific way is critical, which is what I like about what's happening here is the themes continuously connecting with one another. So if you are somebody who wants to work with a specific brand, a cognac, you need to present in a specific way because a brand manager looks to see, do you line up with the way we want to present ourselves as a brand? So when it comes to styling, present yourself based on the kind of work you want. So if I'm working with my roster of artists, I'll say, okay, what kind of deals do we want this year? Okay, I've got an up-and-coming singer-songwriter called Mars Baby. We want to get a Calvin Klein job for him. Okay, how are we going to present ourselves over the next 6 months so that we start presenting as a Calvin Klein brand ambassador before we are a Calvin Klein brand ambassador? Right, so I think that's the one part of it that's really critical, is to understand how am I presenting myself based on my strategy, on what I'm trying to achieve. Another one is just a story, which I think is quite cool. With regards to that, is there's a basketball player by the name of Carmelo Anthony. A good friend of mine used to be at the Knicks. Last time he was here, so he was the first Jordan athlete, right? He's still a Jordan athlete. Last time he was in South Africa, we were together. That man has 3 outfits prepared and ready per day, every single day, by a stylist. So, of course, that's the furthest version of that, right? And then you just apply your version of that you can. So, if you have got only a certain amount of resources, right? He understands that every single time he's seen, it's critical to his success. So his stylist, again, the furthest version with unlimited resources, is I'm going to have a relaxed, a cold, and a warm. They're all in plastic sheets, ready for him. He wakes up and says, okay, sun is shining. Okay. Goes to the sun is shining envelope. Then he pulls the sun is shining envelope. Because that's the level of how serious he is. But also because that's how he presents himself. So Mello now has his own wine brand. Right? He knew he was going to develop and go into the lifestyle space. He's invested in a magazine that's clear in the culture with watches and with cigars. So he was preparing 6, 7, 8 years ago to make sure that when it's my time to do the next layer of my business, which is going to be lifestyle, wine, cigars, watches, I've been presenting myself like that for 5, 6 years. So I'm already that person. I just don't have the deal, but I am the person. So I think that's so critical in styling, is understand, okay, if Vans suit what I'm trying to do, wear the Vans. If they don't, you'll kill the Vans, bro. Even if you love the Vans, don't be seen in Vans if you're trying to get a deal from Vans, from Converse. Right? So again, the whole thing for me just continuously develops towards goals, long-term goals and strategy, which I think is important, even all the way down to style. Yeah.
Wow. Before TikTok, you just say Carmelo Anthony, the former basketball player, a good friend of mine. You just said that. You hear that? Wow. So, video calling after this. Interesting. Shout out to Carpo.
So just to add to Nokani's point, or rather, I've got a question for the fashion, our fashion expert on the panel. So how do you get? There's a lot of talent managers in there and artists, right? I know Nino is very synonymous with his hat, Nino Fresco, and it's a very significant part of his brand. I've seen that in multiple of his posts, and I know MTK. I recently followed him, but I've seen that he takes it very seriously. It's an important part of his brand. How do you get the team or the management how do you justify the spend on the fashion? Because for us, it's just like, I just want to trade. I know I used to have a problem with it initially when I started. The very first time that we started, like, no, my bro, you say you want these things for a brand. No, it's just to raw. So how do you get to express the importance of to not only yourself in your head, but to your team as well, so they understand that which you're trying to explain?
Sorry, you had a very full question. I didn't really capture what the question was.
So how do you assist the artist managers in the room and the talent to justify the spend on fashion and it to not be seen as just an additional thing that you're doing for self? Because in the shoots that we've done, even with big brands, it's always a problem to justify why we need Morgana, our stylist, to come with us and not a provided stylist that we've never met before. So how do you guys within the fashion space or the style space express your value to everyone, not just the managers, not just the artists, but even to brands?
So for instance, let's say we're doing an advert or a campaign. Firstly, what you want is to have the artist as comfortable as possible. So, for instance, certain artists have certain insecurities, they have certain things they like about themselves, and usually their stylist or usually someone that they're comfortable with understands that. So, therefore, you're going to get the best version out of the artist if you create comfort for them. And usually it can be with their own stylist or maybe someone they recommend that they're comfortable with, And then making and management realize the importance of styling ties back into, if you want your artist to succeed, it's a whole package, it's just one of the things you have, so it's self-explanatory and the results are there when you actually do take that serious, And it's very important. I don't know how to further justify how important it is, but if you try it and take your image serious, even as an influencer, you will just see things coming into your life for brands, even if it's on a small level, they'll just keep inviting themselves into. You can start with an invitation to a play event, and through networking, they get to experience, they get to see them. For me, instance, right? I started styling because of fit pics on Instagram, just taking really good pictures on Instagram, and then networking again, and then maybe you work with Boys and Bucks, and then do such a good job that who did that for you, and then it just. You build a network again, So styling is very broad, it's very important, and for artists, for managers, it just ties into the whole image and where you're trying to go. Yeah.
Wow. Dope one. I also wanted to ask you a question, but what's the most important thing to remember when you're styling someone? The most important thing.
The most important thing is understand them. Understand them, where they're trying to go, what parts of their bodies they like the most, because you can play with that, you can dress them in a way where it highlights that the most,
Out of the beginning part, I'm let me skip that one. You know what I'm saying? No, understand.
For instance, not to put their business out there, for instance, I worked with Nasty. Nasty does got wearing shorts. And then I have Casper. Casper loves wearing shorts because he loves his legs and all. So he always wants to highlight it. But he also wants their both big. I'm working with the artists, just understanding them, understanding them. And sometimes what they like is not always the best thing for them. Sometimes you also have to guide them into trying something new. For instance, I could tell someone, try this, and they would not like it. Then I realized, okay, cool. But they really look good at it. So now every time I see that person, when I come wearing that thing that they doubted, for example, let's say he doubted a jacket that has these badges on. Now he sees me with this, actually, it can actually work. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then you also get into the teaching phase of it, So it's just building a relationship with them, doing actual research on them, seeing the type of places they go to, try to build a relationship with them and just understand them better, yeah.
Oh, nice one, man. All right, I love it.
No, so this one it's a bit off topic on the styling, but it's just something that's important to me that I thought was worth sharing. The more tired I am, the smarter I dress. because clothes are critical. Right? So it sounds like a small thing, but it's not. If I wake up in the morning, I'm finished, and I'm like, yo, I've got a big team. My team can't see me feeling like this because they look to me for energy. And the worse I feel, my team, hey, I think I've exposed myself now if they watch. But if I wake up in the morning and I'm really going, you know what, guys, I don't know if I've got it today to show up the way I need to show up. Then I make sure I present myself. It doesn't have to be smarter, but I make sure I look nice. I make sure I look the best version of myself. I make sure I wear my newest sneakers or I put the smart shirt on. Because one, you feel different based on what you're wearing. Because that one we all know. When you get a fresh pair of sneakers, you feel like you're on the top of the world. And so do the best version of that you can. When you're really struggling or when you really want to make a good impression or when you're feeling a bit like, yo, the world is catching me here. It's a small little piece of advice that I wanted to add that isn't really directly connected, but put the best face that you have on, you'll feel better and it'll present well to everyone else. Wow.
That is so encouraging. Yeah, that is so beautiful, man. Again, Zebo, sorry to keep on picking on, but he knows that I fight for that at the office. Right? We've got non-negotiable days where we have to present ourselves the way that as if we're going to present to a client or whatever, just so we practice with it. But what I wanted to say is also there's this thing, Nogana, everybody thinks we have to run to Diamond Walk, right? Even a new artist that just started popping, it's Gucci, it's LV. No disrespect, if you can afford it, you can afford it. But tying it back to brand, right? It's so critical because sometimes I see guys presenting themselves in a way that completely is not aligned with the people that they're potentially influencing or their fans, right? So the way I see it, if you are a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old and you're doing incredible, your music is amazing, right? And you've got a good fan base, your core fan base cannot afford LV, right? And a Nogana does not want to wear LV because you are wearing it. So you are influencing no one, not the people you're trying to impress who are potentially financially higher than you, not your fans who can't afford it. Instead of saying, yo, you know what, I'm going to make Root of Fame, I'm going to make it look so amazing. Sorry, I'm going to use our brands. Actually, not sorry. I'm going to use the brands that people work with. I'm going to wear Drip, I'm going to wear Root of Fame, make it look so fresh or whatever else that you're exposed to. That my fan base can go to that and that Casper, Nogana, Lekau, and the guys can recognize, and I'm going to get my fans to tag them so they can make me the ambassador. So you already started working on what Dale spoke about. Within 6 months, you want to work with Calvin Klein. You're putting it together at the level that you're at. Instead of going there with an LV, and now you've got one pair. Now we see it 6 times in the same. Now, you know what I'm saying? We're putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure. So create within what you add. Because again, I'll say it again, sorry to sound like a broken record. Your core fan base, can they afford what it is that you are? I'm not saying don't treat yourself every now and then, but don't brand yourself as a Diamond One guy if you can't sustain it. Your fan base cannot afford it, you're not influencing anybody. The people that can really afford it, they don't want to wear it because that light is wearing it. So you are left in space. You are tutoring yourself. Nobody's even caring about the immense pressure that you put yourself under. So those are some of the things that we need to unlearn. There's so much more that we can do, and I'm so passionate about that because I see a lot of guys doing it. A lot of the guys that are seemingly doing well, I'm not going to tap into people's finances, but are seemingly doing well because of how much they spend on clothing. But there are so many other basics that are not taken care of, where you could have spent 10% of what you spend on your image. So that's a very, very important thing.
Can I just add to that?
Thanks.
You said something about trying to appeal the most to your fan base, For instance, like recently, I don't know if anyone saw DJ Mapolisa spent 100,000 at Galaxy Port. Yeah. But before that, we all know that DJ Mapolisa buys expensive clothes, he's a diamond walker, How many times has he bought a diamond walk and it was never announced? How much money did he spend? As soon as he went to a local brand, he trended for like a week, and then also the owner of Galaxy Boy posted like how his sales went up. So it just shows that, you can make a bigger impact trying to appeal to your actual core fan base, because this fan base is, yes, people who can afford, but like mostly it's people who can't afford Diamond Walk every day. And therefore its impact was bigger at home, you know, with one battle, yeah.
I just wanted to add, just from a marketing, brand manager, corporate perspective, and what it is that we look for. I always say, first of all, for me, style, right, makes you memorable and makes you stand out. So if you've got your own personal style, your own personal way that you dress, your own personal way that you want to represent yourself, that's what makes you memorable and makes you stand out from the clutter. And then second to that, I always say that your image is your brand. And for us as corporates, we buy into that brand. That's what we're buying into. It's what you show us. So how you put yourself together is super, super important. And we're in such a cluttered space. So try and make sure that you do stand out.
Nice one. Mr. Jabu, how are you, sir? I'm good, man. You all know Jabu. Very nice with the camera. You know those ones. They shoot Avengers. They shoot so many things. Iron Man 1, 2, the same. Shot everything. Well, so Jabu, man, you know, always a lot of people, especially like the upcoming boys in the hood, when they started to photograph. I'm not saying you guys. Some people I know, not you guys. Don't. So some boys like, hey, can we to hand the camera so I can take pictures of those girls in the bikinis and what. You know, they're doing it for the wrong reasons, some people. So I want to know with you, boys, and how do you make someone feel comfortable in front of the camera?
That's a good question.
Language, Shabu.
How do I make someone feel comfortable in front of the camera? I mean, usually, generally on a shoot, I'd start by asking them what their good side is, you know? And they'll always show that to you, like, okay, no, this is my good side. And always be cognizant of that. And yeah, I think in that always makes people feel more comfortable. And giving them, you know, personal space sometimes when they need space. Yeah, definitely.
All right, dope. And then for someone to start, like I'm a kid from the hood, I want to be a photographer. What's the first step do I take? First, I know to buy a camera. But sometimes but the camera is not that camera sometimes is not the right one. You get what I mean? Because I used to have a camera, and when I take pictures and I post on Instagram, it's not the same as yours. So tell me, my man, you know, because I want to start. I'm in the hood, and I want to be like Jabu. Because how do I do it?
I think for me, what I did when I was first starting is I did a lot of research. So I always go through, Instagram, obviously. And there's a website I used to live on without fail that was updated like hourly with people's work. It's called fstoppers.com. So I used to live on that site day and night, you know, studying what lighting they're using, what cameras are they using, what products or what brands are they using, the best things that are the best, what is the best equipment that they're using. That was one main thing that I always used to do. And when I get to like a shoot, I'd always try to remember, okay, this person did this with their light, you know, they put their light here. So let me try that. And yeah, man, it's worked. I mean, it's worked for me.
But I saw it works for me. So trust me, I saw. And I saw.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a few questions for John. We have multiple conversations, right? And we argue a lot about areas of expertise or where we still do. I got two different things that I want to address. But firstly, let me ask you, these hot IG models, do you guys charge them or is it free?
I think it depends. It depends. Some guys do.
No, I'm just messing with you. Whatever you do, that's
some guys really do. Some kids, yeah.
Okay, my problem is, or rather not my problem, the first one I'm going to address it. I think I speak for myself and Dale from an events organizer's perspective. There's this whole thing that trended. I think Austin, one of our friends, he started this thing, well, he didn't start it. I think that's the first time I saw a trend tag a photographer, right? I think some model, or not even a model, it was a celebrity, had posted a picture of the red carpet, and she didn't tag who the photographer was, right? And it was a big thing, photographers gathered together. I was like, yeah, tag the photographer. I took the picture, it's my word, you know? And that is true, right? You guys insist that except if you use a filter. I know you guys hate when people use
Don't take me if you put a filter.
Yeah. But my problem is that why is it that you guys can post your incredible picture from rocking the daisies, you saying you were working at a concert, but you don't tag the promoter?
Let's go.
Because we spend hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions to put the show together. You take a picture of Black or Six Leg, I don't know how he says his name, but him at Daisy's, an incredible picture, but you don't say where that was. I spent millions to get these people here in this crowd and this stage, but you don't tag. And it's a common thing. Artists also, you guys don't tag the event that you performed at. You just put there. But if you go to a Coachella, you put Coachella. But you don't put Soweto Kota Festival.
Yeah.
And this is now from a proposed perspective.
Take the promoters, guys.
Yeah, I think that we should make that trend. Take the
Make that trend.
My second thing with the industry that you're in, or the field that you're in, with regards to videographers and photographers and stuff, is that, and I think it applies to everyone, is increasing your value to the partnership, right? So a lot of the times to you guys, it's all about how much you pay me, I'm going to give you that. You know, we have a situation that you're very close to, Jabu, where we did Celeb City, the first one that we did. By the way, the third highest viewed sporting show, or rather sporting program in super sports history is Celeb City 1. The third in history.
Wow.
In history. And this is including Formula One, World Cup, rugby, soccer. We are the third highest, and this is not speculation. This is what we're sent by SuperSport.
Wrestling?
So, wrestling like it's your reaction. So now we have a conversation with guys that were fairly close to us, that we're coming to record some behind the scenes, etc., right? And I'm telling them, we're creating content for SuperSport, right? You are incredible at what you do, but you're not operating at that level because the checks are bigger, the work is bigger, and their recognition is therefore bigger, right? But all you come into the table with is that you're giving me 10 Rand, and I'm going to give you 10 Rand worth of work. And that for me is a big problem. If you've got an opportunity to work with Rocking the Daisies, right? You're saying, oh, okay, Dale, I see you got daisies, you got in the city. You know what? What's your budget for me? Okay, you got 50K. I'm going to give you 250K worth of work. And it can be pending your approval of the work that I submit for you. However, it needs to be contractual, that then you're going to give me a contract for the next 2-3 years. Right? Or whoever it is that is going to be broadcasted, I want to come off as the producer or the director. You know, that's exactly how I work. But guys will say, no, I want 100,000. I'm going to give you 100,000. And for me, there's a lot of people that can do what you do. There's a lot of talented photographers and videographers. There's a lot of them. And matter of fact, in any field, there's a lot of talented musicians and, you know. But for me, if you come to me with an additional value that I'm not getting from the next guy, I say, okay, this guy functions different. You know, I've got guys that come to Tabanchu, my hometown where I'm from, on the 26th of December. One of the most incredible photographers in the form of Lucky. Lucky comes to Tabanchu on the 26th of December to take pictures there. And he said to me, I don't want money, I just want accommodation to show you what I can do. But by virtue of that, I have to use him for everything else. Because I saw the work that he does and I know it's incredible. But he showed me a different element. I'm not saying that paying by, what do they say? by
Exposure.
yeah, exposure. That's not what I'm advocating for. But there's just a lot of things that have to be unlearned. You know, it's not all about money. Even with the money, there's a lot of steps that we skip because we're so focused on the right now. We did what I believe is going to be one of the incredible documentaries to come out of SA. And the reason why we did that and we could do that is because of the value that Jabu and the team, Spies somewhere here in the crowd, that they came together and gave us value more than what we could afford at the time. But what this is going to do for their careers is incredible. And I'm speaking out to the world. I've seen the work already. This is going to be one of the biggest things. It's not the time to announce.
I think that's also quite a big thing is, so for example, there's so many times where I've gone to like some brands and I'm like, yo, I'll do this thing for you for free. I'll show you my work. The next time let's see what we can do. And that also really was.
Jabu, can I ask you a question? There's something that I'm struggling with at the moment where, by virtue of what the brand does, some of our smaller scale events, you know, I always say to the team, I say to Cindy, let's find an up-and-coming photographer to come shoot the grassroots stuff for us, just to give them some work, some exposure, you know, for them to get their foot in the door. Now, and I could be wrong, right? Sometimes the prices I get, I'm like, I don't think so, you know. So I suppose my question to you is, for young emerging photographers, videographers, content creators, how should they go about developing their initial red card? Now, this is a red card where you're not known, you're still new, you might not even have a portfolio at this point. But we've seen you can take a couple of pictures and we just want to do it for our small scale grassroots. How would you go about advising like an up and coming content person to deliver their first initial red card?
Yeah, I mean, it all has to do with like your experience, you know. And networking is also quite important on that because you could find someone like me who's already been in the industry and ask, yo, man, you know, Play came to me and they asked me to shoot this thing. How much should I charge? That's also something that's really helpful. But yeah, it's also tough being a creative because I know I've been in that space before. And for me, that's what I worked for a really good photographer for about 2-3 years. And he basically showed me the ropes on, you know, you've had this much experience, so this is kind of what you should be charging.
Just to close that one off, Jabu, thank you very much. To any of the photographers and videographers, content creators, I'm not sure what the full title is anymore. If there are some of you in the room, the brand is always looking for young and upcoming talent. So use this opportunity, don't talk to me, speak to somebody in my team. Use this opportunity to network, sell yourself, get their email address, get their number, because we are always looking for young, emerging content creators.
Can I add something which is relevant to photography, but in general, is understanding who the A and the B side is in a discussion and in a negotiation is critical, right? So how much do you need it and how much do they need it? An example is T and Casper performing at Rocking the Daisies, for example. I think it was 2017, the first time you guys performed Daisies, no? It wasn't traditionally the kind of festival that would have a Casper in your vest there, right? So we very clearly changed strategy. When we were getting ready to discuss this, T and Casper put so much money into that performance themselves because they realized this is an opportunity for them to present themselves as a festival act, to present themselves to an audience that maybe isn't traditionally their audience. So yes, they can get 100K or 150K. Get your money, but don't be scared to, at that moment, invest in yourself because you need that moment as much as the festival needs that moment, right? So there's a little pocket there that's relevant to TD that I wanted to mention, but in general, understanding who is the A and the B side is critical to success in your whole life, right? So if you're negotiating a job, if you are a photographer, if you're a stylist, if you're a whatever it might be, very quickly understanding how much do you need this opportunity versus do they need to book you in that moment. Quickly decide it and then negotiate accordingly. If there's 100 people who want to photograph Rocking the Daisies and you understand that actually I have the best photographers in the country who will come and shoot Rocking the Daisies and will deliver the content, and they'll do it for flights and for being there because it's important for their branding. Understand who you're up against and understand what that means for your ability to negotiate. Because I know I've had lots of guys who I deal with where we sit at a table and I'm going, and it's to the exposure discussion. There's nothing wrong with exposure. It's just being presented in a bad light because it's being used in an exploitive way. But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It means that when you're in an environment and the environment is adjusting and it's not exploiting people as much as it used to, leverage that, guys. Don't be scared to go in and say, I'm going to present myself in the best version of myself at the cheapest price that I can do it at because I need this more than they need me. And I think that is a real thing. Then you reach a certain point in your career, it's not relevant anymore. But it actually takes a long time and you continuously grow. So for years, Casper hasn't had to be the kind of person who needs to do anything for exposure. But when he's got a new goal and a new level of strategy, or he's moving into the boxing world and the sports world, okay, am I still the A side negotiating as Casper your vest in the sports world? Oh, maybe not, actually. Okay, cool. Now I need to take my A side cap off and negotiate as the B side, even though I'm the biggest star in the country. Understanding your value has changed now because you're negotiating in a new space. So every day, understand when you go into a negotiation and a discussion, whether it's rate cards, fees, sponsors, who's the A side, who's the B side, and do I need this more than them? So do I sacrifice more than them? Yeah.
That's so important. And I just want to add to what Dave is saying. I don't want it to get misconstrued, Dave. You spoke about reinvest back into your business by, the fee that you get in and put it back. So a lot of the times what people used to have is the artists, especially in their management teams, and I speak sitting on both sides, they will put that on the promoter's costs, right? So it is not you reinvesting in yourself by fighting me for 4 extra or 2 extra rooms because you want your videographer. That's now on me as the promoter. So don't get it twisted. You asking for another bottle of Biliato or whatever other brand that you prefer because you brought your photographer, your stylist, your this, your that. It is not you reinvesting in yourself. There's a lot of things, again, that need to be unlearned. So what Dave is talking about is, even till today, when we do overseas bookings, they don't always agree to pay for 6 people, but Casper's minimum travel team is 6, right? Sometimes we pay for the 2 extra people because they said, no, we're going to give you, okay, sure. We're going to give him his business class shop, and then me sometimes not, shame, it's fine. But we're only going to pay for 4 people, giving you 1 business class and 3 other shows. We decide who's the A and the B side. Do we want to go there, or is it like, it's fine, But if we want to go, we make sure that we go with the full team of 6, and sometimes the rest of the team we pay for. Because we understand the value of us going. We're not saying that, I fought hard, they paid for everyone, we reinvested in ourselves. No, it's still on the promoter. And there's a saying also about exposure won't pay your bills, right? I think that's what we say in these cool streets. And like Dale said, if it's not exploitative, exposure is a great thing. But also you need to understand that your incredible talent will not pay your bills if it's not recognized. So you can sit at home with your skill set, and that still won't pay your bills if you don't have the exposure. So let's just try to understand that some of these cool things that we say on Twitter and trend, and because a A-list celebrity said, brand X tried to do this, there's a literal brand called X. Brand whatever, tried to pay me exposure to whatever, and I buy and then we make a trend, and then then you look at the trajectory of that very same A-list, rather influencer or celebrity post that. Because now you start to scare sales. So, can't this person is like this. So if I work with them when there's problems, they're going to expose me like this. All I did is make a proposition. I said to you, Carpo, let's go to Blue to do X, Y, and Z. And if you turn it down, it's fine. You just say no on an email, respectfully, we'll work when the money's there. But you take it into social media and say, play young Raela, I could be doing this thing with,
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I hope that we learn and just rather unlearn about some of what's meant to be so cool, but it's actually nonsense.
And I've got just an example. I won't say who the artist is, but artist I've worked with was getting requests and bookings for 5K. They say, yo, I have 5K, turns it down. I have 5K, turns it down. I have 5K, turns it down. Next meeting, I've got no gigs. I said, what? You've turned down 3 gigs, yeah, but I'm worth 10K. I said, says who? Guys, the market decides your value. Not your followers, not your last song, the market. So if the market is paying you 5K and you're not getting offers for 15K, harder chance you're worth 5K. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and I think it's such a critical thing for me where I'm going, guys, we get like stuck on this idea of value. My value. Okay, value is decided very simply. If you follow sports, a footballer might be worth 10 million pounds, but he sells for 30 million pounds because the market decided he was worth 30 million pounds. And vice versa. You might assume that this player is worth 50 million pounds, but nobody came in to buy the player. So the guy sold for 20 million pounds. Because you can put it as many things as you want. The market will decide what you're worth, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a dancer. And so don't reject the market. Perform above your 5, perform like a 10K artist when you're getting 5K. That's how you're going to get the 10K. Not by rejecting 5K every week. So on that, I think it's also important. I just wanted to add that, yeah.
I think the next question is for TD and Dale. Okay. So Dale and T, a lot of artists fight with their managers, right? Especially upcoming. I have a friend called Jude. A boy sent him a song, and she's like, "Oh, this is a pretty dope song. I want to do something like this with the song, with this and this and this, right?" 2 weeks later, that boy calls Jude. Yo, did you check out my song? Yo, my man, I said, I want to listen to your song. Gives me an attitude. Drops the phone. Sends a message, yo, man, tell me you want to listen to my song, my man. There's no people on the song. Give me an opportunity. That time is an upcoming artist, no one knows him. So his approach to Jude was so disrespectful. You get what I mean? He was so angry. And then he called the manager of the boy. And the manager was like, I tried to meet you again. I don't want to work with him anymore because he thinks he's a superstar. So, the upcoming artists who act like they stars before they make it, what advice do you have for them right now before it's too late? Please.
So I have a lot to say here, guys, and it actually is the reason why I made the point about the A and B side and critically understanding who you are, right? It's very important. Every negotiation is different. Every discussion is different. In some spaces, you're a superstar. In some spaces, you're up and coming. There's a producer by the name of Herkat the Lights, right? One of the most talented producers in the country. We got 2 placements for Herc, right? We got 1 placement for Herc with Rock Nation. We got 1 placement for Herc with Dreamville. Both of those placements for Dreamville and for Rock Nation were negotiated very differently to the way we'll negotiate Herc if he's producing for Blackjack. Why? Because it's a completely different discussion. Who needs who more? Herc, our baseline is that you get X amount up front and you get so many points on the master. Why? Because in South Africa, Herc's, you might not have heard of him. That guy's producing the biggest songs in the country. Right? He's actually got his own song coming now. It's Chaba, which is going to be amazing. And I don't work with him anymore, so it's a plug for free. But guys, we took a deal with Rock Nation that was completely different because we realized how up and coming Herc is in that moment. Right? So it's to your point and not to your point. It's back to the idea of understanding when you're the A side and when you're the B side. In terms of artists understanding their value and not sort of adjusting that. I've had lots of people who reach out to me directly Can you help me with this? Can you give me some advice on this? Can you do whatever? Wherever I can, I'll give a little bit of advice. But I'm not working for you. I actually owe you nothing. It's so important to understand that if TD gives you his time, he didn't owe it to you. Right? So if you don't get the best version of an answer, if you're an up-and-coming tech manager, and you don't get the best ever answer from TD, the fact that he gave you an answer, take it then, develop on that, and go, okay, sharp. I'm going to keep this in good stead with TD. Because he was prepared to give me something, even though it's not actually what I was looking for. He gave me something. Let me work on this. Because next time, maybe he's got a bit more time. Okay, he'll give me a little bit more time. And so I find, and I've had this quite a lot with artists who want to get booked at events, or artists, or even up-and-coming artists who want, I want to have your ear on the song. One, I'm going to be honest. So if your song sucks, right, I'm saying, guys, music is it's subjective. So I say it sucks, someone else might say it's great. I'm always going to preempt it with that one and say, guys, you might be up and coming. Me, I'm not a big fan of this. This is always my advice. Find someone that you trust. Don't worry about me. Just because you think I'm somebody who can open a door for you or TV, find someone you can trust. Use them as your reference for growing your brand. And then, yes, get that odd outside influence from time to time, but use it for what it is. It's a subjective industry. They might find you competitive. They might not want to give you the advice for the right reason. But the truth is, if you've got a bad attitude, you're dead. And it will catch you. You're going to work with Play today, you're going to get some money, you're going to have you're going to work with Casper, you're going to drop a song. If you continue with that bad attitude, it catches you. And if we had to sit and list artists now, up and coming or not, who've actually found themselves on the wrong end of success, because they never had the opportunity to learn that it will catch you. Your bad attitude will catch you. So for me, guys, there is no one who has managed an artist like TD. I say that, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, because I often ask my artists when they're complaining, the up-and-coming guys, you're not doing this for me, you're not doing this for me. I say, okay, give me an example of someone who has done it. So who's my competition as a manager? Who's better than me? Right now, who's better than me? Everyone's quiet. Because this one left ambitious, this one left this one, and this one. I said, okay, so everyone's upset with Sony, everyone's upset with ambitious, everyone's upset with everybody. Give me an example of a good manager. Maybe the problem's with the artists and what they expect of managers. Do they even understand what managers do? Are we assistants? No, we're not assistants. Am I supposed to fetch you water? I'll fetch you water because I don't have an ego. But it's not my job. Those are two different things. So what actually is the manager? Right? And I think that's such a critical thing for artists up and coming, is understanding who everybody is in the ecosystem. What is actually their job? What is it that they're actually supposed to do? And then don't get ahead of your station at that point. Understand what your station is. Because I can tell you, someone who doesn't have an ego in this industry, and it's Mr. Molloy. So because guys, when you don't have an ego, you'll go very far, and you have a lot of years of success. And sitting right here in front of you speaking is an example of it. A guy who's done things in this industry that nobody else has done. But you'll see him outside here, you'll greet him, no airs and graces, will treat everybody with the same level of respect. If Tili can do that, I promise you can all do that. That's for sure. Cool.
No, that was, I think they heard you. I think they're going to go home and they're going to tell their friends. Let us start at the bottom together. Let's listen. Pride, all those things. Delete them. But I just want to say, I'm really happy, man. I have a friend who was an upcoming, but he made it. I won't mention his name. We started together, and there was a story that he told me that, we were from Maftown, so he came back from Joburg, he's performing in Mafikeng, and he's working with Double HP on stage, and he has shades on, and jumps on stage. So obviously, when you leave home and come back with the legend, you're on stage, everybody's singing, like, wow, He's on double HP. As he drops the mic and tries to perform, Johnson takes the glasses, throws them, I'm your best. You can't do that. We home, dog. We home. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And when he told me that story, I'm like, yo, actually, you're right. He's right. You know what I'm saying? Don't go from Joburg, go home, and then go home and you want to show off to the people. Yeah, I made it. I'm the G. You know what I mean? So, but I'm not saying just like that. I'm just wearing shades. Don't say anything. You know what I mean? So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a small little break, lunch break. We're gonna have some snacks here and that, okay? Some drinks.